left, right.
So we haven't talked too much about fitness and getting in shape, although James and I both enjoy running, biking, working out. So today we have a friend of mine, Dr. Waqas. He's a chiropractor. He's a professional weightlifting coach. He's a firefighter. He does a lot of stuff. His Instagram tag is Waqas Does a Lot because this dude truly does a lot. Him and I went to school originally for engineering. Like 17 years ago, 18 years ago. So he's a good guy. He's a smart guy. We got him on today, and he's talking about fitness. So enjoy the podcast. It's a little slow, I think, the first 15, 20 minutes, but it really picks up, and we get pretty real. And if you stick around for the last 10, 12, 15 minutes of the podcast, then it gets really real, and we start doling out relationship advice and when it comes to gaining weight in a relationship, which is something that a lot of people know a little bit about. So I'll see you guys on the other end. Enjoy. This is SipTalk. Grab a drink and enjoy.
Of course, it's good.
Cheers.
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 All right, welcome everyone to Sip Talk, episode 168. My name is Justin DiGiulio out of my basement in New Jersey, joined by James, the Boswell out of Charleston, South Carolina. James is a philosopher, a professional referee, a professional bartender, most exciting of all, an accountant. And we are joined by special guest today, Dr. Waqas Pervaiz, man of many, many titles. The title I like the best, Waqas Does a Lot. So welcome, Dr. Waqas. I got two questions right off the bat for you.
What do you got?
How you got away without the U after the Q, and then tell me about what your many hats are, because we'll talk in a second about how we know each other. But as far as I'm concerned, you are the man that is always doing something.
Thank you. Perfect. By the way, can everybody see me?
Not on the Zoom.
Not on the Zoom. I'm not as computer literate as I would like to be.
You should be able to go to the bottom of the Zoom screen. There should be a little picture of a camera. You're gonna check that little video icon, and
then mute yourself so that way the audio is only coming through Restream.
Gotcha. So go to Zoom.
Well, if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. We do have, for those who are watching live on Instagram, watching live on TikTok, you can join us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and you can see Waqas's well-defined jawline and great head of hair. I'm the odd man out here with the bald head. So it may not work on that platform, but don't worry, we got you on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. So Waqas, you're gonna have to actively try to work this out, and then tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am going to right now, and let's see. Perfect. I am working myself in here. Okay, I joined in there. All right, we're slowly getting to this. Let me answer your first question. How did I get away with?
Who are you? Who are you? What are you doing here, man? I'm curious what you're doing here.
No. So, doing a lot of things. My main thing is I'm a chiropractor. I went to chiropractic college and got my doctorate, and I'm also a personal trainer and a clinical weightlifting coach specializing in Olympic lifting. And I'm an original strength coach. I do a bunch of movement stuff. So in our practice, movement is life. So we can teach people how to move better. It'll give them longevity of life. That's our main concern. That's our main goal. So big thing that we do is teaching. And, we do the adjustments, we do the exercises, we do the heat, electric, all the other things that you might get with going to a chiropractic clinic. And our clinic is...
But your practice, sorry to interrupt you, but your practice specifically is the chiropractor clinic. So you have these other titles, but the clinic is specializing in
the art of chiropractic?
Yeah, chiropractic. Yeah. So our clinic is a clinic that houses not just chiropractic, but we have personal training. We have a fitness center in there. We have massage. We also have a spine stability program that's run every month. We also have a yoga program that's run by an occupational therapist specific for back pain. We also have a virtual reality room that we help people with trouble with movement, people that are kinesiophobic. And we also have a virtual reality room that is set for people who want to train. That's an up and coming thing. We got in contact with big people, and we can talk more on that afterwards and such. But yeah, we are a one-stop shop for conservative spine care.
Okay, and there's one stop. You're located in Malta, New York.
Yeah, right off of exit 12 in Malta, New York. You can go to our website, maltachiropractors.com. Our Instagram, also Malta Chiropractic. Facebook, all the different platforms that we utilize. LinkedIn. I don't know if people use a lot of LinkedIn.
We'll get all your links in the section underneath the YouTube video. So anybody watching post-production, not watching us live, will be able to have access to all that. James and I know the Exit 12 area very, very well. We spent a lot of time up in Malta. We got some good stories, maybe for another time.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that you do yoga, you get a VR room. So tell me about the space. Is it like a warehouse space?
No, so it's a two-story. We have a basement, and then we have a first floor. First floor is all health-related stuff, which is your chiropractic and your massage. And then the bottom floor is fitness and movement stuff. So we have our fitness center down there. We have our virtual reality room down there, our yoga program, and our spine stability program that's run downstairs. It actually used to be half a racquetball court, or it used to be a full racquetball court, and they cut it in half. So we use the bottom half for one thing, and the top half is for health, which is massage and chiropractic.
Okay, so but what type is it? Like a strip mall building with a basement, or
it's a standalone building. Do you know where the old Malta Diner used to be?
Yes.
So it's the building right next to it. So
right in that little grocery store.
Exactly. So it's right between. So the Malta Diner does not exist anymore. It's a new restaurant there, and between the car wash, we're between those two. So we're in a location that has. You'll see a big sign that says Malta Chiropractic right on Route 9 and 67. So that's our big thing. Is just people can see our sign, and that's
people see your sign. They come in that way. Okay.
That's it. And we're the only chiropractor in the town of Malta that take insurances, and that's the big thing, is taking insurance. People aren't spending all these hundreds of dollars to have these chiropractors or healthcare providers not to take their insurance.
Okay, cool. So look, I got a question for you. You get a client comes in. What's your most popular? Somebody sees your sign, they want to come in. They're looking for an adjustment. I want to tell you in a second my story. The first time and only time I went to a chiropractor. So, what's your common customer? What brings them in? What are you doing to them?
Yeah, majority of the people that we see are back pain or neck pain or headaches. We have people that come in with like sciatica pain, pain down the leg, numbness, tingling, burning stuff, whether it's in the thigh, the low back, the neck, the arm. We deal with a lot of musculoskeletal. It's called pretty much muscle and skeletal system. But we primarily deal with the spine, so pretty much like head to butt. Now, if there's pain in the leg, it could be coming from the spine, and we won't know until we actually assess you. So people that tell you like, "Oh, it's this," I don't know yet. I haven't assessed you.
So you get somebody knocks on the door and say, "Hey, I got some back pain. I want it fixed." And you say, "Okay, well, we got to figure out what it is." What is an assessment?
Composed in a sense? Yeah. So say James comes in, right? James comes in. He's got back pain. He's sitting on the computer all day. He's working from home all day. He's standing. He's got a standing desk. He sits and stands, but he's still got back pain. So first thing, fill out paperwork. We take the insurance stuff. That's all done by the receptionist, and then we have you come on into the room. Either me or my partner. We see patients on off days, and it'll go through a full history as well as your physical exam, your orthopedic exam, your neurological exams,
Well,
and
so
then
that's
we
that's
also
what I
do a
want to
functional
know.
exam.
That's what I want to know more about the exams. How do they work? Is it
Yes. So
you
back pain is
drop
actually,
trow and how does that work?
yeah, the initial exam's about 45 minutes to an hour long. It takes us that long to figure out what's going on because somebody comes in with back pain. That's just a symptom. That's not the actual cause. The cause could be posture related. The cause could be a fracture. The cause could be a bulge of a disc or a hernia or a facet issue or something in the spine or the muscles are tight. So we figure out, there's the whole location, mechanism, onset, palliative, provocative, risk, all these other things that you go through in your history taking. So I'm asking all these questions, and I ask guided questions so I can keep on track. I don't want to know the first time you hurt your back was in second grade and you're a 55-year-old man. So I want to focus that exam. And if something's relevant, please do share. If it's not, I'll figure that out. We'll go down that hole afterwards. But right now, we're dealing with back pain stuff. So we do the ortho exam after we do a full history. We're taking notes as we're doing all these things. Exams kind of help us out. Is this a hip issue? Is this a low back issue? Is this coming from the mid back not moving so good, so your low back has to move much more? Right? Is this a posture issue? You're just always in this posture. You don't realize it. Could be a various things, and that's why the exams are there. Then we also want to check out neurologically if there's anything weird going on. So we rule those things out because just in case. That's our big thing. What if it's something crazy? I would like to catch it. I've had some weird.
What's something crazy? So look,
I'll give you an
I've had
example.
okay. Let me share with you this first. So I've had back pain since I was like in high school running track. I injured my back running track, and
Mhm.
it was intense pain.
Okay.
And I've always been afraid since then that I'm going to move the wrong way or I'm going to roll out of bed the wrong way, and all of a sudden I'm just going to be paralyzed. So, and I lift a lot of weights. I'm a pretty active guy. I run, I lift pretty heavy. Um, that's my concern is just paralyzing myself. So share with me,
Yeah,
some of
so the big thing that we try to teach is pain can go from a foe to a friend, right? Pain can be a determinant towards whether we should do this or we should not do this, right? If
well, look,
you,
I've had a relationship with pain the majority of my life, thinking, and I'm a little bit older now, but thinking that if I can put myself into pain, it's good, right? Pain is going to make me grow. I'm going to heal back stronger. But now I'm at a point in my life where I feel pain and I'm like, oh shit, that's just, if I push it too much, that's the end of that.
and that's probably the truth of it. That's pain tells you stop that. But your mentality as an athlete, as a young athlete, as a maybe a influential athlete that was told by coaches like, no pain, no gain. I know that was a big thing in football back when I was playing it. And the other thing is you fight or you wrestle through. I wrestled in high school and college, so you wrestle through pain, right? You find a new barrier. Pain is telling you something's not moving right, and athletes are actually the best compensators. So you had been compensating, not realizing it, and finally, that screw was getting a little looser, a little untightened, and all of a sudden it came out. Now sitting up from a laying down position hurts. Getting up early in the morning hurts. Those are all symptoms of things, right? So we ask certain questions like, hey, does it hurt when you first wake up in the morning? Yeah, it's worse in the morning. Okay, that tells us something, about your injury. What's the cause of it? Oh no, it hurts when I do it at night, but in the morning I'm fine. Okay, that tells me something else. So
So,
pain is meant to generate a response. You just have to figure out what that response is, and we try to educate people on the movement that's going to benefit and make it less painful because the cause is what we're trying to get to the root of.
Well, let me ask you this,
Sure.
because to do exercise at a productive level is going to require some level of pain or discomfort. So, when do you know that you are exercising in the right zone, so to speak, so that like the pain that you're generating is useful? And when should you stop exercising? What are the different kinds of pain, and what can they tell you about how you are exercising?
Sure. Just a regular scale. 0 means no pain. 10 means I need to go to the hospital right now. That's a normal scale. Medical programs, every healthcare professional, majority of the healthcare professional utilizes. Now, pain isn't a good thing. Soreness, I'm okay with. Once it becomes painful, there's an aberration of movement or pattern that's causing that pain. So let's just say you're doing bench press, right? And you're bench pressing, you usually do 135. You're like, you know what? I'm going to try for 185. Ow, my shoulder hurts. You know what? I'm going to try it again. Ow, it hurts again. We're done. In our clinic, anytime there is pain, we actually reassess or regress our movement to see if it was too much of a load or if it needs to be brought back because the joints aren't able to do what's expected of that movement. Now, the trainers also know if it becomes painful, we pause, we adjust by regressing or doing something else, and we have them go see our chiropractors on the top floor and set up an appointment because we want to make sure we address it. And we actually try not to move forward with our clients for personal training unless we've addressed the root of the problem and our doctors have okayed for that person to go back to the training regimen. Now, the scale, 0 being 10, 0 being none, 10 being you're in the hospital. 6 and 7 is like it's like feel good. You know how you foam roll or something like that, and like ooh, like someone massages you, and you're like ooh, that's a good hurt.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put that at a 6 or a 7 though. Like I'd say that like the most that's ever been for me is like a 3 or a 4. Like 6 or a 7 is like really discomforting, and like I need to stop this. Like,
well, James has broken some bones.
Yeah, I've broken bones actually. Like, for me, some of the most painful experiences, one was kidney stones, the other was like a root canal.
Yeah.
Those were both like 8s or 9s.
Yeah. So, and it's relative, right? It's hard for me. To me, you know, a bee sting might be like a 9 out of 10, but for you, a broken wrist might be like, all right, it's not too bad, right? So it's also
broken bones were like a 7.
Right. And that's what I mean. Like it's relative, and that's what makes it difficult to have this generally specific term of pain. So when we talk about the 6 and 7 out of 10, 0 to 10 scale, this is on like comfort level.
Yeah,
more than
for me,
pain.
like a 10 would be like I've just been doused in gasoline and somebody threw a match my way.
Right. And I couldn't help you as a chiropractor on that one.
I'd still come, just be like,
can you adjust this flame away?
Well, it's more like now my problem is your problem because your place is on fire.
Yeah. So my table's on fire and my carpet's on fire. Got it. I like the way you think.
So I want to get into, there's a certain aspect that you can't help because you're not doing x-rays, you're not doing surgery. So where is the value added with a chiropractor? And then how, as a chiropractor, do you know that it's out of your wheelhouse, you need to go to the hospital?
Well, not even that. We actually have great connections with physical therapists, other healthcare professional, massage therapists, occupational therapists, as well as orthopedic surgeons, doctor of osteopathic medicine, because we try to triage. Our vision is to be the conservative spine care specialist of our community. So if you have an infection, chiropractic isn't going to help. If you chop your leg off, chiropractic isn't going to help, right? What we need to do is once you're in, let's just take an extreme example. So you get in a car accident. You know, New York State is a no-fault state. So that means chiropractic benefits, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Chiropractic benefits apply to anyone that gets in a car accident, whether you're the one that did it or, you know, got into it, right? But they usually take you to the hospital afterwards because you want to make sure you get an image to see if there's anything broken, because you can't tell sometimes from looking from a person if their bones are broken. Right?
Also, what you're saying about measuring that pain tolerance, somebody's 3 could be somebody else's 8, somebody's 3 could be a broken bone.
Exactly. So for James, he got in a car accident and going 32 miles per hour, got rear-ended, he's fine. But someone like me, same scenario, and I'm like, I need to go get imaging. I don't know what's going on underneath, right? But maybe James 2 days later is starting to feel sore. he should definitely call his chiropractor and have them evaluate him further and use the insurance that you utilize, right? Use the no-fault insurance. Now, with that being said, when should someone come to you? Now, if you have any aches or pains, especially if you're an athlete, and I say anytime you have a spine and it hurts to move, you should definitely get it evaluated by a chiropractor, not just any chiropractor. Just like majority of the fields there are in the world, there are good and then the not so good. You want to evaluate those good and the not so good because you want to make sure you're getting the best care and not just a high treatment care plan, right?
So how are you evaluating a good chiropractor from the outside?
So
Yeah, take me for example. I know Jack about chiropractic. So how would I like if I were to go to one? What would be some things that I should look for to determine whether or not this person is worth going to?
sure, that's a great question. One of the things that I personally would do, and I actually have told my mom and dad the same thing, is how long is their initial evaluation? If it's less than 20 minutes, it's very difficult to get a full history of a person and their symptoms or their pain or their painful markers in 20 minutes, right? If everybody gets x-rayed, this is my personal opinion, by the way. If everybody gets x-rayed, how do you know if you should or shouldn't get x-rayed? If everybody has the same cookie cutter treatment plan, I'm not a big fan of those, right? And is there an end of treatment, or do you have to be the one that goes for life? We believe in an audit process, right? Say you come in, James comes in, he's got back pain because he sits all day, works on the computer, blah, blah, blah. We figured out it's posture related. He's got lower cross syndrome. No problem. We give him a couple of movement stuff that's going to make it better. And we have to audit it right there in the office. And if this exercise or this corrective exercise or this therapeutic movement that we gave you helps, that's the thing you're going to do. Because that's the thing that worked.
Okay.
So, when somebody's
move on to the next thing.
So let me just back up because I'm trying to put this a bit in a nutshell. I want to say hi to Maria, who's watching on Instagram. Those of you guys watching on TikTok and Instagram, you can't see Dr. Waqas here. Jump on the YouTube, the Facebook, or the Twitter stream. You'll be able to see him live, real time. He's a good-looking guy, by the way. So to put it in a nutshell, when you're choosing a chiropractor, obviously you probably want somebody who's got some good reviews. You want to read reviews. I think that. But you're saying when you actually go into the chiropractor, are they doing a quick basic exam? Are they sending you to an X-ray without a very thorough exam? And are they talking? What was the phrase that you used? It's pretty common, I think, in healthcare. End of term or something. What was that?
Yeah, end of treatment.
End of treatment. So are they discussing a plan for your end of treatment?
Yeah, like there has to be an end care, right? And it's very difficult. For me, there's the overall concept is to help people, right? I chose health, being a doctor of chiropractic and using movement as a base to help people. Then I chose fitness, personal trainer, Olympic lifting coach. I also chose community service, being a firefighter. So all those things are benefiting my community, whether it's either one of those three platforms. So within the health platform, we want to make sure that, if you broke your ankle and you went to your primary care and he gave you medication to help with the pain, and he kept giving it to you because now you have pain in the wrist, or something else comes on, you keep going to him like, hey, my ankle isn't feeling any better. They should probably send you to PT. They should probably send you to occupational therapy or somewhere else that can triage a little bit better. But if you keep going to your primary for the same problem, happens all the time, that person isn't helping you as best as they can.
Well, that's the issue with pain medicine, is that there is not much of an end of treatment plan. It's just
it's treating the symptoms, not the cause.
Exactly.
That's exactly it.
So I got some questions for you. I totally forgot. What I need to do is tell everybody how we know each other, and I totally forgot that you're a firefighter, and on top of all these other things that you do. So Waqas and I met probably 17 or 18 years ago I was studying engineering, and I think you were studying engineering too.
Yeah. I was originally going to be. We were in the engineering class. Was not a fan of engineering.
So I think gauging what you do now and how you're evaluating and the way that you look at things, and same thing with me. How I do in business is I kind of reverse engineer where I want to go. The engineer mindset I think helps you a lot in this field when you're talking to someone trying to deconstruct what their issues are and then rebuild a plan. I think the engineering mindset is very logical and very good with the fields that you're in. So I think that's really cool. So I got a couple of questions for you. I want to talk to you. I want to tell you my first experience with a chiropractor.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So this was when I lived in South Carolina. James and I both lived together in South Carolina around 2008, 2009, 2010. And I went to this gym. One day, at the front of the gym, there was a cute girl with a clipboard, and she was introducing herself to the members as they walked through. So, of course, I say hi back, see what she's all about. She says, "Oh, I'm with a local chiropractor, Dr. So-and-so. We're offering a free or a $50 consultation, something along those lines, a basic adjustment." So I said, sure. I'd love to see you again. So, so I sign up, I do my workout, I leave, she's gone. And, I book the appointment the next day. A week later, I go in. I walk in, there's a couple of girls at the front desk. This girl's nowhere to be seen. And they introduce me to the doctor. Doctor comes out. Nobody else in the entire place. The two people at the desk and the doctor. Now, it's a nice place. They got, different beds. They have probably PT equipment. And the guy talks to me for a little while. He lays me, ultimately I end up laying face down on the table.
Was there rooms, separate rooms, or was it separated by curtains or something?
I don't think there was any separation at all.
Yeah, that's
this is South Carolina. Things are a little different down there. So I think people aren't as nitpicky as they are in New York.
Sure.
But
I think that they're nitpicky about different things.
Probably. So I don't think there are as much ball busters.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I don't know. It's been a long time since I lived in the South. So, he ultimately lays me down. He kind of goes around my body and just touches different areas, and he's my shoulders and the back of my neck, down the legs, everything. So he goes, "All right, we're going to do this first adjustment. I just want you to relax." So he's got my head kind of, I'm on my stomach here, and the guy takes my head. And all of a sudden, and he says, "Relax. I'm going to relax your muscles." And he just goes, now I can't crack my knuckles. I don't crack any of these things. The only experience I had with this, I've heard people crack a knuckle here or there, but the only experience I've had with this sound is watching Xena Warrior Princess, when Xena steps up behind somebody and cracks their neck. So in a split second, I leapt off the bed. I cocked my arm back. The guy put himself on the other side, and we kind of danced around the different sides of the bed. I was trying to go after him. I freaked the fuck out on this guy. I thought he was trying to break my neck. He was trying to kill me. I thought maybe he knew. I thought it ended up being his wife. That was the lady that signed me up for the thing. But it was an uncomfortable situation. But
that's a tough call to be in, because he didn't dialogue before he was doing stuff.
I didn't, and maybe he may have, but really I didn't know, and I wasn't prepared to hear this noise that sounded like my neck was being snapped.
Yeah.
So my question for you, this is a long story, I'll get to the point, is that what you're looking for in chiropractic? In
chiropractic work? Yeah.
In chiropractic work, are you looking for these pops? Are you looking to be resetting things? And what is that? Is it just air in your joints, or what exactly is it?
Yeah, that's a good question. In our clinic, what we try to do is change the locus of control. You came in with pain, we audited, we did the whole exam, We figured out what the cause of it is. We can recreate it, so we can reverse engineer it like you talked about it earlier. And then we give you 1 or 2 exercises that make sense, and it gives you a percentage of percentage of decrease in pain or increase in range of motion, or you're able to do something that you weren't able to do because of pain beforehand. Those are your exercises. Then we see if your body can handle the adjustment. So before we even adjust you, we try to give you the exercise first, because I can adjust you, you'll feel better, but then you do the exercise, like, oh, the exercise, well, we don't know if it worked. Then why should I give it to you? So now, before I adjust people, I always dialogue. Say I'm going to adjust your neck. I'm going to have you lay on your back. Hey, I'm going to put my hands on the side of your neck. I'm going to turn you to the side. I do this thing called the pre-adjustment tension. I put you to the side, and I'm like, hey, does that hurt? And if it hurts, we don't need to go there. If it doesn't, I'm going to give you a light, gentle adjustment or a thrust, and you're going to hear it because it's close to your ears, the neck adjustment. And if it feels uncomfortable, let me know before I start. And how's that feel? Yep, that's okay. So now I'm going to twist you a little bit. Be ready. Boom, I do it. My reflexes have to be faster than your reaction to me moving you, right? Okay. And we train all these things in school, and I continue to train these things. So then you get adjusted, and you feel better. Wow. So now you had the exercise that made it feel better. Now we increase your range of motion with the adjustment, whether it was through side turning, up and down, or side bending. Now, the actual popping noise, right? That snap, crackle, pop. I didn't
hear it through the camera, but
you didn't hear? Okay. So what happened was, imagine this bubble forming. If you have the knee joint, let's just say, okay, you have the knee joint, and there's a bubble forming because you're not moving it. Let's just say you're sitting all day, and the bubble kind of gets bigger inside that knee joint. So now it's becoming stable because it's not moving. So as it becomes stable, we need this joint to move when we go to stand up. And you'll hear some snap, crackle, pops when you stand up after sitting for long periods of time, whether it's driving or working or what have you, playing video games. And when you get up, you'll hear that pop. That pop is just...
You're not a video game guy, are you?
No, I haven't played video games since like 2003 or 4 or something. Yeah.
I like video games. I respect them, but I didn't take you for a video game. Yeah. I was just curious. All right.
I'll play Mario Kart, but that's about it. You know.
All right. So you've got
you got this bubble forming, and the knee needs to move now because you're about to stand up, and it pops because it's a combination of gases, specifically nitrogen, that makes that audible sound once that joint goes to move.
So the air bubble is predominantly nitrogen, you say?
Correct. And you can actually adjust or hear that audible every 20 to 30 minutes. So I can adjust your neck, crack it, or get that pop. 20 to 30 minutes later, I can do it again. Now, going back to what I was...
So it takes 20 minutes or so for that to reform to a... substantial enough to be able to make that pop again.
Right. And not every time, because some people, as I adjust them, they will say, hey, I didn't hear that pop. Ooh, I didn't get that pop. Can you try it again? I'm like, no. We just want movement. Sometimes you don't get the audible. Sometimes you don't hear that sound. But we need motion to occur. That's more important than hearing the cracking sounds. And again, locus of control, like we talked about. If we can now have you do those exercises that makes it feel better, now you are part of the treatment. It's not you relying on me. It's you doing your therapeutic activities or exercises that are going to benefit and expedite that process of your recovery.
Okay, so question for you. One, you said kinesiophobia, right?
Kinesiophobia.
Kinesiophobia. Okay, I knew there was I was reading it, but I felt like there was
kinesiology.
Kinesiophobia.
Yeah.
And what's the cause of that? So that's fear of movement. Now, right?
Yeah, let me give you a generic example. We have, let's say, a patient in their female patient, late 60s, lives by herself, and she has trouble getting things from her cabinet or anything out in front and above, reaching, right? Because there's pain in her shoulder. She might have frozen shoulder. She just might not have enough muscles to carry stuff from there and bring it down. So she's kinesiophobic. She has pain, or I'm sorry, she is afraid to move due to pain. So
So
what
she
the
doesn't
biggest
put herself. She doesn't put herself. She doesn't do it, which is probably
because she's afraid.
yeah.
Yeah, so our virtual reality program, we have various programs that allow for your ability to kind of manifest so we can increase that range because it turns into, instead of objective driven movement, it becomes a gamification. Give you an example. So what sports did you play, Justin?
I did track. I did a lot of running, and I did some wrestling.
Okay, perfect. So let's say track, okay? The shot put, okay? So there's a shot put arena, right? You throw the shot put, and let's just say you throw 30 feet. I'm going to put a yellow or orange disc at that 30 feet. And now I'm going to say, you have to throw the shot put past this cone every single time. And if you do, you don't have to run a mile and you have to make 5. So it's an external cue because you're making into a game to pass that point. Now, why am I bringing up this example? So now so recap the example. You're going to try to hit past that, right? Unless I said, hey, try to throw it as far as you can, as many times as you can. If you can get 5 in a row, you'll be good and you don't have to run. Now, let's relate that to virtual reality. You put on the goggles, you get your handles, right? And then we have this game, one specific game, I'll talk about it. It's called Tai Chi, okay? We all can think of Tai Chi in our head, right? It's a slow movement, rhythmic movement. And
That's the French art of shot put, right?
yes, it's bonjour, yes. And you take these handles, and one's labeled in black, the other one's colored in white. And as things come towards you, you're trying to hit the black circle to the black hand and the white circle to the white hand. And your movement becomes this gamification. No longer are you trying to put a cereal box up top or a peanut butter jar up top. You're trying to hit the black on black and white on white circle.
And you're not seeing your own arm, so you kind of feel
Correct. So now it becomes this game to do. So you are no longer like, oh, I'm going to flex forward and I'm going to externally rotate and horizontal abduct to push. I'm going to hit this black circle to that black circle. I'm going to hit this white circle to this. So now you're moving and you don't realize you're moving because you're not in your head. You're in a game.
Because you're in virtual reality.
And that's been backed up by now U.S. I forget the 3 colleges. We have these games that are backed up by these colleges, and we're promoting that part of it in our business because it's VR fitness. So it counts your calories. You can put it to your heart rate and a few other stuff.
And somebody who's 78 years old, or however old this lady was, doing VR for the first time has got to be quite the experience.
Super immersive, and that's the crazy part about it. You forget. So we also have this thing called Google Earth, and you can go anywhere in the world, and you feel like you're there. It's a little freaky for me, to be honest. Like, it's freaky because it's so real.
I think that's pretty cool. So next question, back pain. Back pain has been a part of my life since track in high school. Actually, in high school, I got an ulcer from taking too much pain medicine because of my back pain, really bad. And now I just kind of deal with it. It's never been as sharp as it was, during that period, and a few years later, I tweaked it again. But I just have kind of general dull back pain. I work out a lot, so it gets tweaked, but never anything too severe. But also a lot of stiffness when I wake up. Now, back pain, I understand, is very common. Anybody in their 30s and older, it's you're in the majority if you have back pain. What are some common causes of back pain, and then what can people do on a regular basis to mitigate the back pain, whether it's shoes or a mattress or
Sure.
so common causes, and then how we can fix that.
Yeah, posture is a big common cause of back pain. Like even like people that are watching on YouTube or Instagram or all these different platforms that we're on, just look at how you're sitting right now. Like look at the chair that you're in. Is your butt pushed up in the back corner of that chair? Probably not, right? Is your kind of low back slumped a little bit? Probably. And is your shoulders kind of depressed forward? Probably, right? We can't hold this position all the time. And posture is very dynamic. It's not this like upright, scooch back, relaxed belly, chest is tall, eyes facing forward thing. It's a dynamic movement. When you're sitting, you want to be here, you want to have some movement. When you're standing, the posture changes. When you're more engaged with something, you might be closer to the front of your chair. When you're more relaxed, you might be further back. So
I think we all spend enough time on a computer, especially these days. I know James also works from home. I pay a lot of attention to my posture, and I usually don't do anything about it, but I usually know that it's pretty poor. So posture is the first thing out of your mouth. So I'm guessing that's
a big thing. So one of the things, say, with James working from home, one of the big things that you can do, we call these things micro breaks. You can go to our website, Multi-Chiropractors, and it'll have exercises, and it's labeled micro breaks. And it's like all the things that we have on there, like pictures. It's like a Denny's menu. It's all pictures. Just look at the pictures, do the thing the picture tells you to do. So especially with neck and upper back pain, people that are barbers, sit from home computer, driving a lot, one of the things you can do, like the micro break, is just stand up every 20 to 30 minutes, and you're going to take your thumbs in a thumbs up position, pull them back like this, and turn them outward, right? Like you're externally rotating. Look up at the ceiling for 3, 2, 1, and then come back.
Do you know how difficult that was for me, even just to get my arms straight on the sides?
You probably have tight pecs.
So arms all the way out, rotate
back and down, and look up at the ceiling. Hold it for 3, 2, 1, and relax.
So I don't know how audible that was on the other platforms, but basically you're reaching your arms as far out as you can to the sides. You're putting your thumbs up in the air and then turning them backwards, and then you're extending your chin and your eyes upwards, kind of leaning back.
It's just a light stretch,
and it's a good. So it's my understanding. I've seen a lot of guys in the gym. They do a lot of chest, but they don't do enough back, and they end up very curled forward because their pecs are very tight and they're curled forward.
So you can actually. So speaking on that, if you want to see if someone has tight pecs, if you watch them just from standing straight ahead, look at their thumb positions when they stand with their thumbs, hands off to the side. If their thumbs are turned in towards their thigh, more so than out, it usually means the pec muscle is super tight on the shoulder, which is rotating that shoulder forward. I'm giving an extreme example on just so you guys can get a visual. So that big pec muscle attachment on the ribs, sternum, collarbone is having one point of attachment on the shoulder. So if you have these robust muscles, you'll see guys that are kind of this, they can't help themselves. They're just super tight. So it's not that they're like, they might be super strong, but they just don't have enough flexibility for that muscle to relax.
Yeah, there's a great video of like the coach of a power lifter slapping a sticker onto the back of the guy.
Oh, and
you can't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, this is all I got. I got nothing.
Yeah, he can't get within like 8 inches of it.
I went to this yoga class, and if anybody who's watching us live, if you're watching us live on TikTok or Instagram, you got to try this. So first, what you do is you put your left hand up, and you bend your arm, and then Waqas, I need you to do this because I know you're probably flexible enough to do it. So put your left arm up in front, directly in front of you. All right, bend it upwards so your hand's pointing towards the ceiling. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to take your other hand, your right arm, and put your elbow underneath. Underneath. Okay. And now
This?
yeah, just like that, James. You got it. Now I want you to take that other hand, the one you put underneath, and I want you to grab hold of both hands there. James,
Yeah.
because at least you're able to get one arm under the. This is as far as I got. So I have no flexibility.
I have a pretty meaty.
Women
I have
can
a
do
pretty meaty chest, so that doesn't help me in my case. Not that James, you would or would not have a meaty chest.
No, I'm not big on strength training. Most of what I do is cardio, and I don't do enough of that right now.
So I want to talk about cardio in 1 second actually, and I want to talk about a bit of podiatry and just pain in the feet. But I want to give you one more shot. So we got posture being, in your opinion, number one for back pain. So obviously changing the posture, some exercises that you can find in the multi-chiropractor or multi-chiropractic.
Multichiropractors.com is our website. If you just Google chiropractors in Malta, New York, we're the top ones because we also treat a lot of pro athletes and stuff. So
there's some exercise on your website. What else can somebody do outside of taking some breaks when they're working? Pay attention to their posture to mitigate back pain.
It's a very loaded question, and it's very difficult to answer. So I'm going to try my best to explain and then help understand. The way our spine works, we have like where the butt is, that's where our spine kind of ends, then our low back, then our mid back, then our neck. So where those hips are, right? The hinges, if people stop moving from the hinges, let me take a step back. So the way our spine works, we have the butt, the low back, the mid back, and the neck area. The way our spine works is mobility means you should have movement in the hinges where the butt is. Stability, where the low back is, that should be stable. That shouldn't be moving when you have a load on your back or you're pushing or overhead stuff. Mobility, again, in our mid back, then stability. So it goes mobility, stability, mobility, stability. So anytime those get confused, there's going to be an aberration. There's going to be some dysfunction. There's going to be a compromise of some kind. And if you do it repeatedly enough, you will have something that kind of quote unquote snaps or gives or has to compromise another way.
So the super lower back, like where your hips are, that's where you want to be mobile. So if you're sat down all day, it's immobile, and then it's tightening up and getting weaker. All right.
The big thing is people don't use their butts. So doing things like glute bridges is a great prep to starting a leg workout or some kind of a lower body movement, right? But doing it properly with the proper intent. As you do glute bridges, laying on your back, knees bent, feet are flat, shoulder width apart, lifting your butt up so your shoulder, hip, and knee are straight like a board, holding it for a second, own that position, then drop it, tag the ground, come on back up, doing about 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. But if you feel it in your hamstring, you're not on the right track. Something else is going on. If you feel it in the back, you're compensating somehow. So that's a good primer to get your glutes to not be in this amnesic phase. So we want them to wake up, and that's a good way to prime before you work out legs, let's just say.
Interesting. I may actually start incorporating that at the beginning of my leg workout. So look, now
let's hit some cardio stuff.
I was just going to say, let's get into cardio because I lift a lot of heavy weights, but I also run a decent amount, and those two things do not go together at all because I'm a heavy runner. So what are some common running and maybe bicycling problems that you see, and what's going on there?
Yeah, so cardio is different than running, right? Cardio could be on the elliptical, on the arc trainers, and all that stuff, right? So I always ask the question before I start with my clients or patients or what have you, is like, what is our goal here, right? James's goal is to probably stay endurancely fit. He doesn't care about lifting, 1,000 pounds. And am I correct to say that, by the way, James?
I could give two shits about upper body strength. I just want to have a good mile time and good watts per kilogram on the bike.
Perfect. So you want to do power output and you want to do endurance. So then for Justin, he wants strength with power, but also be able to have endurance training. Am I correct to say that?
I just want to look good naked.
Okay, so that's actually primarily everybody that.
I'm pretty sure that we're looking for achievable goals here.
I know. I drink too much for this.
So for James, training is actually going to be similar to Justin. Your rep range is going to be different because, James, if you want power, you have to strength train. How else are you going to output power? Someone that weighs 250 pounds that's putting out, let's just say, 500 watts versus someone who's 200 pounds putting out 500 watts. The one who weighs the less is putting out most power.
Yeah, that's why I said the watts per kilogram.
Exactly. So for you actually need to generate power and explosiveness, but that comes with proper lifting techniques and form and owning the move and realizing that split second before your muscles are in this relaxed state, before you have to aggressively turn them on and do the movement that you want to do, right? Power is a very short period of time. You don't hold a sprint for 7 minutes, but you can run for 7 minutes.
Well, that's one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, actually, is that one thing I notice is that, like, when I cycle, I don't really see much of a translation from however much work I'm putting in on the bike to my mile times, and also vice versa, where I would think that, like, increasing cardiovascular efficiency and lung capacity and oxygen, like, throughput would have more of a translation between the two disciplines, but it really feels like cycling training really only benefits cycling, and the running training doesn't benefit cycling anywhere near as much as I would have thought it would.
And I'm going to add something to it, and it's something that's a little against, from what I'm guessing, your fitness psyche, which is strength training is going to increase your output in cycling and running because you're pushing the muscle in a short burst, because there's type 2 twitch fibers, type 1 twitch fibers. One are supposed to be for fast, one are supposed to be for slow. For endurance athletes, you want to do the slow ones because it's slow, continuous. But with like sprinters, you want to have type 2 fibers, which are the fast twitch. So you have to do more strength training to maintain your output of power, because from there, you'll have the muscle backing to push when you need to, right? So you will gain a little.
I did not see you going there, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's difficult. I train a couple of people that have done triathlons and stuff like that, and all they want me to teach them is how to get better at running, because that was their thing they needed help on, or cycling. They were good on swimming. I was like, here's the thing. I can't teach you how to get better at running, but what I can teach you how to get stronger so running becomes easier.
Yeah, and a lot of time when you are doing the long, slow workouts, like the long distance runs and long distance bike rides, you're not building that muscle density. And you're kind of almost wearing down your muscles in a weird way, but you're building endurance.
Yeah. So for someone like James, 2 exercises that will be crucial for him are going to be the Romanian deadlift, or straight leg deadlifts, and Bulgarian split squats, or lunges, because we need to have proper contractibility of your quad, hamstring, and glutes. And if you can't heel press in a bike and pull up at the same time on the opposite side at a higher capacity, at 100%, let's just say, because biking only costs 90%, you're always going to be stuck at 90% because you're not pushing yourself at 100%. So if it only takes you 100 pounds to move the power that you want, you have to be able to push 120 pounds to then move a level up in cycling. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Well, hold on. I had a thought and I just completely lost it.
Well, look,
Because
go ahead.
like the thing about cycling that I found is that it's a lot easier to do cycling at a given intensity level. Like, so I always ride with a ride or run with heart rate, and I've found that I can keep a heart rate, like let's say 160 is kind of a benchmark for me. I can ride a bike at 160 for easily 2 or 3 times longer than I can run at 160. Why is that?
So, two reasons. That's a big question as well, and it's difficult to answer. And like the why is that? Is this a one thing? To be honest, I don't know. I'm only speculating right now, and I'm just theorizing what could be. First of all, if the heart rates are consistent, you're only using your lower anatomy for cycling. For running, you're using your full anatomy for running, right? Running, you can do, let's just say you can do 10 miles. You can probably do 30 or 40 miles for cycling.
Yeah, it would be about the same amount of time.
Right. But the output is different. You burn way more calories in a mile run than you do in a 1 mile bike.
Well, yeah, because it takes longer. But like, if you look at your calories per hour burn, you're going to be pretty similar.
Right. So calories just is like a measurement, right? It depends on whether it's like whether you run in sand or you run in air or water or road. It'll differ on how intense it burns or you take in, right? So when your question is, it's hard to answer because it's such a, what about this one part of my fitness? Do you think that'll be the reason? I don't know. The only thing I can speculate is that because your endurance is really good in cycling and not so good in running, that's why you can maintain the equal heart rate in both.
My thinking, I think you're onto something because you are recruiting a lot more muscle, and we got to wrap pretty soon. I want to ask you one more question on air and one more question off air. But I think because you're recruiting so much more muscle when you're running, there's going to be a higher level of pain at through lactic acid at whatever heart rate, just because there's more lactic acid being generated throughout the body. So that pain threshold may actually be reached sooner using the whole body because it's all over versus just in the large leg muscles.
Portion of your body.
Yeah.
Lower anatomy.
We got one question that Rosh is begging us to ask as well.
Go ahead, hit Rash's question.
Rush wants to know if you recommend the use of like a balance ball instead of a traditional office chair for sitting at a desk.
Oh, one of those like big medicine ball looking thing.
Yeah.
No, I think those are a gimmicky thing because imagine if you're working 8 hours and you're on a ball all day. When you first get on the ball, you're probably really focused, like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish this. After about a half an hour, your legs are going to get tired. You're going to fatigue. You're more concentrated on not falling. And same thing when you're sitting on that 55 centimeter ball or 65 centimeter ball. After a while, your posture is just going to slump.
That's how I feel when I sit on those things. At a certain point in time, I just kind of give up, and it might as well be a beanbag.
So maybe there's value in like doing it for a small portion of the day while you can focus on having the correct technique, but then go back to something that's comfortable that's going to promote better posture.
Or you can just get the thing initially that promotes better posture, which is taking those micro breaks every half an hour to 20 minutes, which will allow you to have mobility and circulation because you've been static for so long. And adding on top of that, James, is that people want to come up with new reasons to, oh, look at this wheel. Oh, look at this wheel. No need to reinvent the wheel. It is what it is. You keep to basics. You keep the simple and build on it. We want to get gimmicky. We want to be like, look at this. I'm sure you guys have social media that you've seen on fitness that this guy is lifting a chair on one side and a weight on the other side and this and that. And he's doing sit-ups. Super amazing. Super strong.
I think the suggested posts for me on social media are usually like steak and grilled food and chicks in bikinis. So we see a lot of different things on social media just because of the suggested posts. I don't see any guys lifting a chair in one arm.
Waqas is talking about gimmicks and stuff like that, and the reason why you see gimmicks all the time instead of just recommending traditional exercise routines is gimmicks sell.
Exactly. Okay. That's it. Gimmicks sell. You got to do the real thing. We're going to run out of time on the live stream. What I want to do is keep you guys for another 5 minutes, answer 2 more questions. We can post that post-production. But I want to thank everybody for joining TikTok, Instagram. We're going to stay recording, and that's going to go in the post-production. So if you guys are watching live, catch us post-production. We are about to lose the stream. So adios TikTok and adios Instagram. All right. All right, guys. So I got a couple more questions. We're out of time, as you can hear the exit music here. But I want to include this in the long version where it gets pushed out to YouTube and where it gets out to the audio podcast, so people can download it and hear some real questions. I don't want too much time because I want to keep it pretty short and succinct. But I think we definitely hit the nail right on the head when it comes to gimmicks. And I wanted to ask you about yoga and how we should incorporate yoga into an exercise routine, especially when it comes to weightlifting, because I try to do 3 to 5 days of cardio every week, but I try to weightlift at a solid 5 or 6 days a week. My issue though is I have no flexibility.
Do you work on it?
Do I work on flexibility? No. And sometimes I ask.
Well, there's your answer.
And sometimes I ask for help tying my shoes. But my fear is always canceling a workout. To me, working out is breaking down muscles so that muscles can rebuild harder and stronger and bigger. And skipping a workout to do some flexibility bullshit to me I feel like I don't see the gain in the yoga and the flexibility for the loss in the workout. So what are your thoughts on that?
So first thing is, do you foam roll?
No, but I own 2 of them.
Okay, so best thing you can do for your body before you start is take the 2 to 4 minutes that it takes to foam roll your calves, your back of your thighs, your butt, your low back, your mid back, and your quads. Spend about 10 breaths at each of those areas. So all of your backside from your ankle to the upper back, and then your quads. Take 10 breaths. It shouldn't take you more than 2 to 4 minutes. Once you've done that, you've now stimulated those muscles into making sure that they release the mechanical sensitivity that go to the hypothalamus in your head that tell the body, hey, how's that muscle feeling? We're doing good. And you want to stay at about 3, 4, 5. That'll stimulate a lot of the muscle, get circulation in the area, get blood flowing in the area. And then you do your dynamic warm-ups. When you played sports, we didn't do a lot of static hold stretches. We did a lot of high knees, butt kicks, karaoke, side shuffles, skips, bunch of those things because they're dynamic, because you're ready to perform a movement.
There was very little stretching involved in the sports that I played. They did it, but I felt like they were just doing it to be like, all right, if somebody breaks a leg or sprains a thing, we did the stretch.
I don't know why you wouldn't stretch before, so I've got very little experience with weightlifting, but before a run or whatever, I don't know why you wouldn't stretch. It makes a huge difference.
And you don't want a static stretch. You don't want to stretch and hold for 15, 20 seconds. You want a dynamic stretch. You want to move. You want to rotate those hips. You want to get those shoulders moving. You want to get the wrist, elbow.
What's the reason? Blood flow or range of motion?
No, you're building a elasticity in that muscle to now be ready in a readiness state. Right?
I fear the range of motion, though. So I get some elasticity, but the range of motion is what I fear is going to get me into trouble because I can bend that far and then pop.
Well,
Right?
you're asking for two different things. You're asking for flexibility and then saying that you're afraid of flexibility.
I am, and that's look, that's as far as I can get.
That's just one thing of flexibility. We haven't touched your shoulder. We haven't touched your hips. We haven't touched it. So it's like asking, like that specific example is like asking a kingdom of animals that they're going to be best if they can climb a tree. And that's the best animal, right? There's so many other things that your hips can do, or your ankle can do, or your knee can do, or your T-spine can do, or your shoulder can do. And all those require certain attention and focused attention so you can really have that brain to body connection as you go into a loaded movement.
Okay, so
So foam roll, heel to upper back, right? Heels back and forth, hamstrings back and forth, butt, low back, mid back, then flip over, quads. You should be good to go to start your dynamics. Dynamics should take you no more than 5 minutes. All this thing should be a 7 to 10 minute thing, and you're ready to move. Because guess what? When you lay back, you do one of these before you bench press. Do you bench press 225 right away, or you start with like the bar and so on and so on?
I usually start at 135, I think.
Right. So you start with lighter weights before you get to your working set, right? You have your warm-up set, then you have your working set. Same concept. You got to get your body moving before you actually load it, and then you got to load it progressively until you're working, and then you work it to fatigue, progressive overload, and then you come back from it.
All right. So you're saying, so I said, should I incorporate yoga? And you're saying, more importantly, I should incorporate foam rolling and dynamic stretching.
That's a good start for you. Now, here's the thing. Yoga is great if taught properly to the audience that can be progressed up or down. You go to any yoga spot in a group setting, they're going to give you a movement and they're going to make these small adjustments to help you out, but they can't cater to you.
Well, look, my issue with yoga is mostly the religious aspect of it and the fact that everybody seems like they're just...
I think it's the culture surrounding yoga that's off-putting more so than the actual activity itself.
What are you talking about? It's surrounded by really attractive young females that are
all
really
crazy.
flexible.
That are all crazy. That's the caveat there. They're all crazy.
This is coming from me, someone who, like, in the past exclusively dated crazy chicks.
He goes in the past.
Yeah, I'm
No,
sure.
because the one I'm dating right now isn't crazy, but
So I've done hot yoga a few times in the city, and one time I looked like I was going to pass out. I felt like I was going to pass out. The teacher came over. This is disgusting. Now, hot yoga is 100-something degrees in the room.
102.
You're in a sauna, right? And there's sweat just dripping off of you. And the teacher came over to me, and she had a packet of, what's that vitamin C stuff that comes in a packet you mix it with your drink?
Emergency?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she had a packet of Emergency or a different brand, same idea. And now bear in mind, everybody in the room is dripping. Okay, she's the teacher. She's also dripping, and she poured. I don't know if she poured. Man, my memory's bad. I don't know if she poured it in her hand or my bare hand, but either way, there was enough hand on the floor contact with the feet. I felt as if I was licking it off the floor. So she poured this out into. It may have been.
Well, you're really just looking to get salts back in your system, so you might as well just lick the floor.
Yeah, and she goes, all right, eat it now, and then, so I had a very bad experience. I never going back.
Well, you were dehydrated, and she wasn't giving you what you needed.
But the thing is, though, Justin, you can't let one person in yoga determine the rest of the yoga. You cannot paint everybody in yoga with this broad stroke. If you got a bad haircut, actually, you know what, James, I'm going to pick you.
Well, no, Justin's gotten a bad haircut for the last 10 years.
You're not going to stop going.
Point made. All right. And then my next question, and this was a question I'm trying to expand on Quora a little bit. You guys familiar with Quora?
Isn't that basically Yahoo Answers with a different name?
It is, yeah. It's people asking questions, and then the community answers them. And a question that was suggested for me to answer. I don't engage that much, but I've answered a few questions in different realms, and one of the communities I'm in is relationship help. So, but this one was a fitness question, and I thought it would be a good one to pose to the three of us, and that's why I figured we'll take it off air or off the live cast. My girlfriend broke up with me for being fat. Is it my fault?
Yes.
So I'm curious, Dr. Waqas' opinion on this one, and his answer / solution to this poor young lad who's overweight.
So
Now, we don't know any more details, by the way. We only have the question.
That's a very loaded question. I don't like to answer loaded question with a blank statement. The short answer is yes, but the big answer is yes because. And then you go into a series of becauses. Because you no longer value yourself, because you took the structure out of yourself and started to become comfortable, because someone no longer saw you as a value because of what you were doing to yourself. Someone becoming overweight, I get it. Outside of genetics, outside of this, I have bad genetics. Don't you think I want to eat M&Ms?
You can. They sell them everywhere.
Yeah, but the thing is, should I eat a whole family pack every day? Probably not, right? So being someone that gets comfortable in a situation is, from my perspective, how you become content. And once you become content, it becomes this domino effect to having a softer life. I think there was a famous saying that says, like, tough times bring tough people. Tough people bring easy times. Easy times make easy people. Easy people bring tough times, and then the cycle. So you want to approach tough times, whether it's in relationships, finances, family, faith, fitness, all the other F's in the world, and never be satisfied with what you have, but enjoy it, but always propel yourself a little bit more forward. So for him, he needs to refine himself, because as a man, and this is my personal opinion, no longer Dr. Waqas, I'm wearing my personal hat, men are meant for certain things. We do a lot of physical stuff, right? Wrestling is more okay, and playfulness in a physical manner is more okay for males than females. It's just how it ends up being. So for him, he has to become more stronger, whether it's emotionally and physically. And I don't mean strength-wise, just stronger, and just be disciplined. And that is difficult to do. That is very difficult to do.
I think you gave a really good answer. I think you gave a really good answer.
I want to tag on to his answer, because I think like my answer mirrored his short answer, which is yes, and then he went into a lot more nuance. And I think you need to look at like 2 or 3 possibilities here. Is either you were fat when you started the relationship, and she got sick of it, and then you have to figure out why was she okay with you being fat at the beginning of the relationship and not when she decided to end it.
And
like,
in that
what
case,
changed? Because then it wasn't you being fat, it was you doing something else, and she used the fat as a reason.
Or
the other one is
hold on, just pause on that, because in that situation, that makes the female a shitty person.
No, it doesn't actually.
Well, no, because she could have changed, and she could have said,
No, she decided to date someone who was fat, and she wasn't off put by the being overweight. It was something else that happened in the relationship that made her not want to be in it anymore, and she used the you're fat as a reason so that she didn't have to address the actual problem, probably trying to avoid either an awkward conversation or hurting his feelings about something else. But whatever the case, it's either you were fat at the beginning of the relationship and she ended it for some other reason, or you were skinny or like more fit at the beginning of the relationship and you got fat, and that shows that something changed and you stopped taking care of yourself. She's getting something different now than what she signed up for.
I think Waqas gave a great answer. James, I think your thinking was more in line with me, thinking that weight gain is often a symptom of something else. And if it's being unhappy with your life, but ultimately you're not taking care of yourself. Yeah, you're not happy with something, and there's a reason that you're consuming more calories, or you're less active, or whatever reason, there's that calorie imbalance. You're consuming more or you're less active, which results in the weight gain. And I read some of the answers that were proposed to this question, and a lot were like, oh, honey, you're not wrong. She was a shitty person. You know, you need to be happy with who you are. And I think that what Waqas said, back to that, tough times create tough people create easy times create soft people create tough times. We're in the era where we have created soft people, and we haven't gotten to the stage where we've gotten to tough times. For the most part, it's pretty easy times. But I think that a lot of the zeitgeist right now is about how things are going to get really bad if we keep, coddling everybody. And it's easy in this scenario to say she's a shitty person and being obese is okay. And I assume the guy's not 7 pounds overweight. I assume he's 50, 60, 70
Right,
pounds
he's
overweight.
potentially obese. And the other thing is, adding on top of what you're saying, Justin, and I can appreciate that, is that men don't really go out for help. They try to figure it out themselves, especially men that are emotionally stable or strong, right? Having a strong structure to stand on as you grew up with a positive reinforcement and support system really benefits and can make a man or a person into a monster, not in a negative way, but in a monstrous way that nothing is going to hold you back. Nothing is going to stop you. And the only person that can get in your way is you. So potentially, speculating here, he let himself get in the way because he changed his priorities. She was attracted to him because of his priorities. And when he changed those priorities, like James was saying, potentially, right? Which is now making him unattractive to her, which could be one of the reasons she left. It could be because he said one thing and did another. We don't like those types of flip-flop or bait and switch. Maybe he made a lot of money and there's a stigma with people, men in power and women that don't have it, which are attracted to power. Could be a bunch of things. But you should always stand your structure, right? That when I was going through my personal stuff, I had my family to count on, but I still had to make the decision. When you get broken up, you need to refocus your life. Yeah, it sucks, but you need to refocus your life, because if you grow as a person, if a man can attain value, that's what makes him a high valued man. Women are usually born with value and they need to retain it and maintain it. Men have to grow into or attain or make their value.
Yeah, I think that was a lot, but that was very well put. And we don't have enough information to address this guy's question.
That's it.
But
No.
what the responses that I was seeing was, oh, honey, you're a special person and you're special just how the way you are.
He's not.
And I don't think, and just like you said, soft times make soft people, and we've had it so good, and you said there's an element of masculinity, there's an element of being a man that is toughen up, and I don't think it's all bad. I don't think telling guys that they should cry and and they should be able to put on 30 pounds and nobody should be able to say, hey, what why are you being a wimp? I don't think that's good for us in the long run. I think leaders, we want leaders that we can idolize and leaders that we have to live up to. And when you're in a relationship, just like James said, you signed up for something, and the terms changed. And that's.
When I'm in a relationship, I'm actually much more physically in shape, because to me, I have to maintain a certain level of physique that was attracted to that person.
You are a wild outlier, my friend.
I am.
Yeah, no, I remember when I was in college, there was this guy. I was a freshman on the volleyball team, and one of the seniors on the team, he showed up and he had like a Nalgene full of wine, and like one of the guys on the team was like, "Hey, so what's that?" And he's like, that's getting a little bit big," and he's like, "What's Danielle think about that?" And he's like, "We've been together for 4 years. Where the fuck is she gonna go?"
That's it. But that's what happens is the person says you've lost your standards. You're a different person now, and some people 4 years turns into 40 years, but for a lot of people, especially in the world that we have today, which is not back when the three of us were in college, the world that we have today where you can go on Instagram and you can see 70 other people that would gladly take you out that are in better shape, that we have to fight for our place in life. And when you stop fighting for your place in life, then you're basically surrendering it, or you're saying, hey, it's here to take. And if it gets taken from you, then, so be it. All right, guys. So look, I think we're all pretty much on the same page as that. I did want to pose that question before we signed off. This has been a fun cast.
Yeah.
We started a bit slow, but we definitely got there. We definitely picked it up. Waqas, I really appreciate the fitness insight. I know nothing about being a chiropractor. The whole field outside of my one experience where I almost beat up the doctor. I know very little, so I appreciate the knowledge that you dropped on us, some of the workout information. I think we definitely in the future need to do a follow-up. We bring you back on. We got some more questions. We may drop them by you in advance, so you prepare a little bit more. But I appreciate you having you here. I want to thank Rosh Kaleb in the background, who's been feeding us everyone's comments live on the TikTok, the Instagram feed. And as always, James, thank you for being here.
On that note, I'm going to go run 2.5 miles.
All right.
Boy,
Adios, guys.
Cheers,
Good
guys.
luck, man. Thanks. See you guys. Thank you for having me.
All right, you have made it through the entire podcast. This is The Other End. You are now at the other end. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time. And as always, if you want to share a tribute of your thanks with us, you could you could comment, you could share this podcast. And if you have not, you could subscribe. We would appreciate that. Any interaction helps. And we are truly grateful. So thank you for being there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
I like PBR. I just got priced out of it.